Hi, I'm Yara and welcome to this art vlog. Today I'm gonna be painting another Daydreamer piece. If you don't know, the Daydreamer is a character I made up recently, and this is the second time I'm painting it. In the last video I have painted it for the first time, and here it is if you didn't watch it already. Daydreamer is kinda my alter ego who likes to fly far, far away and daydream about different possibilities where I could be instead of in reality. I'm sure that most of you listening and watching to this video have a daydreamer too, you know, the side of you that likes to space out and imagine something different or better, or imagine that you are somewhere else doing something else. And I love this alter ego, even though it can be harmful. But yeah, I just think of it the best way possible in the context of this character. So the daydreams I actually like, and they inspire my real life, not the ones that are just running away, running away from my life, if that makes sense. Anyways, I always liked to daydream, and when I was a child, people told me that I'm a daydreamer. So this is my special hobby that is kinda ingrained in me. It's a part of me. I love to space out and daydream about different places, times, me as some kind of a different person, others around me, whatever. I like to be in my own stories in my head. I made a sketch for this painting a few days prior, and then drawn it again on paper and gessoed on top, as you saw. I actually listened to Adele's song that is called Daydreamer. If you don't know it, you should check it out because it's a really beautiful song. And I knew about it before, but I never really listened until I have painted this. I still don't get it really. It's just a beautiful song, but I don't get or relate to the lyrics. So yeah, if you listen to it, let me know if you relate to the lyrics or know what they mean. But I like the smooth texture of the paper, as I was talking about in one of my latest videos, if not the last video I have made about painting surfaces. So if you want to know my opinion on all the painting surfaces, you can check it out. It's in the description. And yeah, I just love paper because I love how fine and smooth the surface is. It is not as enjoyable to paint on for me as it is on canvas, because the canvas is smoother somehow and more solid, but still I like the final result with the smoothness better, especially for the small pieces. So yeah, recently I have decided I will paint the character in the painting, or a certain focal point of the painting first, until like 80%. And that is from the simple reason. So before, I always painted the background first, and then when the background was almost completed, I went to the focal point. But the problem with that is, what if I mess up the focal point and then I spend so many hours perfecting the background? So it is just kinda less pressure and more smart for me to first paint the difficult and central parts of the painting, and then when I see that this is going okay, this is going good, I can go to paint the rest of the painting. So yeah, it's better for less pressure, and it also gives me motivation because there is already somewhere something in the painting that I like. It is already it already looks good, so it gives me motivation to keep working on it instead of, just watching a painting that is in the ugly stage for hours and hours. So yeah, I, as you saw, did the underpainting, underlayer, darkest, so the darkest shadows. And I paint all the nature that way. I paint the darkest shadows first and then continue towards the lighter shadows until I come to the highlights. So that is how I do it. Do the grass and the bushes and the leaves, flowers, all that kind of stuff. So I wanted to talk about something, but it's very confusing to talk about. Recently, I've been struggling with perfectionism of a kind. I noticed that I have some sort of feeling that I'm building something real, so it has to be perfect on my paintings. I had a feeling that I'm building something with Legos instead of painting and creating an illusion. So everything on the painting has to have a logical sense, and yeah, it's very hard to explain, but I think it's some sort of perfectionism. Like, I get into my head that it is not an illusion and it has to be perfect, that the brush stroke for the highlight is not enough. It has to be perfectly in detail. So yeah, it will be detailed, so it will be worthy. And that is why I have been so anal retentive in my painting technique in the last years. I have focused way too much on the smoothing out and making sense of certain elements that were not actually important for the final vibe and meaning and final look of the painting. So yeah, that's what I have figured in the recent weeks, that painting is making an illusion and that the goal should be to make this illusion as best as possible. Not as correct and true to the logic and reference, but as correct to the final vision, which is not only visual, but it is also the vibe of the whole piece all at once. Yeah, let me know if you experience something similar. It's almost like OCD. It's almost like this obsession to render everything perfectly, and if it's not rendered perfectly, if it doesn't make perfect sense and it's not detailed, then it's not worthy of being a final piece. Something my partner said years ago when I just was learning how to paint was that I think it was the hand in the portrait, and he said, "This hand looks weird," and I'd say, "It's like that on the reference, see?" And I showed him the reference, and on the reference the hand actually looked weird on the photograph, and he would say, "It doesn't matter how it looks on the reference, it matters what I'm seeing on the painting, and on the painting the hand looks weird." And it always stuck with me that is true, because I had somehow gotten into my head that accuracy to the reference and perfecting the logical sense, like if the anatomy is correct by proportions, it's okay to look weird. But I realized that it is not. The reference doesn't matter, that the thing that matters is how it looks, how it feels as a final whole piece. And yeah, I hope that makes sense. It's almost like, yeah, this obsession, OCD, that everything has to be tidy and perfect, and if it's not, it's going straight to hell. But yeah, I am not going to obsess about this logic and details and rendering anymore, because it doesn't make any sense. with this painting, I came to the end of it. I actually now understand the importance of strokes and sometimes roughness in a painting, and that, yeah, the final whole piece is what's important. What's important is the final translation of this illusion by a viewer. So how viewer translates this illusion, which is painting, into his head. The most important and basic thing for me is that it looks beautiful and has a meaning and vibe that I intended it to have. I hope you enjoyed this quick explanation and a little ramble about my artistic thoughts recently. I really like this piece. It's a very colorful, cheerful, and dreamy piece. This garden kind of represents herself. It's her garden. But yeah, you can interpret it any way you want. I interpret it as that this garden actually exists in her head, and she always stops to smell the roses and kind of gets lost in all of the colors and shapes and vibes and smells of the different flowers. And yeah, every time I paint flowers, I actually realize that I really like the look of painted flowers. So I think I'm gonna do that more often. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you're not already, you can consider subscribing to this channel. I post a new video every single week, every single Friday. And you can also follow me on Instagram for updates, for works in progress, for reels of me painting and stories of behind the scenes. And you can check out my Etsy shop where I sell my prints, originals and stickers. I will soon put this one as well for sale, and yeah, that is it. Thank you so much again for watching and for your support, and I will see you again very soon in my next video. Goodbye and happy arting!